It's showtime. All right. Hey, grab your Cold Islands apple juice or what? In this case, this is crystal beer. I bet you want to know what that is. Well, hey, it has been a while, couple of weeks. And of course, if you attended the last podcast, the last Unbridled Living in Costa Rica, I told you, gotta go to Miami and pick up some stuff. But hey, first, welcome back to the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast. Hey, it's the only channel where you hear the absolute truth, the unbridled truth about living in Costa Rica. That's simply because we don't have anything to say yet. Today is our usual, first Sunday of the month where we have Q&A. You got questions? I've got answers. Hey, if I don't know the answers, maybe I'll make them up. No, I won't lie to you. Maybe someone else has the answers, or we'll find out, we'll learn together. So today, hey, there is no specific topic. We're just going to answer anything and everything that you've got to ask about Costa Rica. Because, hey, if you don't know me, and this is your first time here, well, who is that bald guy? Well, I'm Alan. Been living in Costa Rica since November 2013. Traveled all over Costa Rica, but lived in over 25 different houses and locations. And I did it intentionally, trying to find my perfect slice of paradise. So, I can really tell you from my perspective, the good, the bad, and the ugly about Costa Rica. And I might even share a short, really ugly story today about that. Okay. But maybe I'll save it for another time. But anyway, hey, if you're here and you're ready for an awesome and another time, well, hey, give me a big old 10 in the chat box and let me know you're ready for another awesome Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast. And we're going to dive right into it. So, hey, whenever we have these lives, the more interactive you are, ask those questions, the better it is. Okay, so hey, welcome everybody. I love it. There's the Happy Bagley's from California. Welcome. So glad that you are here. Hey, check out Sasha Place, your friend with a one-bedroom apartment near the beach coast these days. Are you advertising a place? All right, here's Andres Hernandez from Rivas. Hey, all right, Rivas is one of my favorite places. Hey, Esquire from Antennas. Hey, our Eduardo, he's a regular here, and he's using his tablet today. He just has different names on every one of his things. So, hey, welcome. Eduardo goes back and forth to Fort Lauderdale. He's a mover, but, man, he's a loyal dude. Got all kind of questions. He's got some interesting, ugly stories that he could share with you as well. So, anyhow, hey, so now I'm going to give you a what can I say? A warning? Okay. I don't know how long we're going to be live today. This week has been really strange. Matter of fact, I have to say that this last couple of years, the weather has not been the usual or the typical Costa Rican weather. So if you know anything about Costa Rica, or if you've done any research, because there's a lot of bad information, normally you have 6 months of rain, 6 months of dry season, what they call either summer or winter, and that's the norm. Okay, you can almost set your clock that in most places. Now keep in mind it's normally 6 and 6. People say all kind of different stuff, and if you happen to live in a microclimate, well, that microclimate, like I live in a microclimate, so here instead of 6 and 6, we normally get about 7 months of rainy season, 5 months of summer. Over in the Rivas areas, they'll typically get 8 to 9 months of rainy season. Okay, so there's a microclimate there. But typically, most of Costa Rica, I've been all over, it's usually 6 and 6, with the exception over on the Caribbean side, there's no such thing as a rainy season. Even though some people try to put it in a box and say, oh yeah, our rainy season is September. That's like me saying, yeah, Louisiana's got a rainy season. Have you ever heard of March winds and April showers? No. So they don't have a rainy season. Their weather's affected by the air that comes in off of the Caribbean Sea, that weather. So it's completely different than what you would get on the Pacific side, just to give you an idea. So with that said, this week, it's been like summer here when it's middle of the rainy season. So we've not had the usual. But today it started raining early. And when I say early, I got back from my morning walk with Nikki, and it was probably geez, 8 o'clock started raining. So it's been overcast all day, which means just before the podcast, I went out there and I looked at my, I'm always looking at my solar panels, and man, my batteries are really low. And so, hey, we might lose power while we're in this broadcast. So let's pray and hope that we don't lose power, but I might lose power. But with that said, told you guys a couple weeks ago, I'll be going to Miami to pick up, I'm improving my solar system. So my solar system, it was okay. I really got whatever you do not do business with Caesar with DC Solar. He seems like a really super good guy, but he'll con you. And I know that firsthand experience. So anyway, I'm upgrading my system. I'm going to have solar and hydro power. And I had to go all the way to Miami to pick up some of this equipment. So anyway, I came back, and so hopefully I'll get to install that in a week or two, and I'll have better power. So I had actually gone out there and thought, well, I'll just crank up the generator real quick. And then generator didn't want to crank. So anyway, maybe we'll lose power. So, hey, you know what, Pamela? So good to see you. And I hope she's saying somebody help Alan. Or is she saying, help Alan? I hope you're doing okay, Pamela, because she might be hollering for help. So, Pamela, let me know. I hope you're doing good. I mean, Pamela, she's kind of bad about, I have fallen and I can't get up. So she might be asking me for help. All right. So, hey, let's take a look at some of these questions here. Now, hey, Sasha's place says, EcoFlow is the best. I live on a boat full time. Now, I think you are talking about the EcoFlow batteries, if I'm not mistaken. So, hey, correct me on that, Sasha, if that is true. EcoFlow is the best. I live on a boat full time. So let me know. Let's see here. She replies back and says, on it 100%, rely on it 100% for solar power, and you can order it online. EcoFlow. I live in Miami, and you don't get a better deal than EcoFlow online. I actually, if I remember right, that's the company I was doing a little bit of research on here recently. And so, hey, it's good to hear that you got a good testimonial about that. That is interesting. Okay. Interesting. And so, hey, let me take a look at some of these other great questions here. And now Esquire says he found a great solar guy there where he's at. And remember, Esquire said he was from, I think, Antennas. Anyway, regardless, he said he found a good solar guy, added 16 panels, a 6-battery system, could go totally off grid. Hey, that's good, Esquire. You ought to send me his name. I'd like to kind of find out a little more about that. And Esquire says he's called Eco Blue Solar. And I'm guessing this is the guy in Costa Rica. How interesting. So if anybody's taking notes, well, that's a good thing. Take some notes right there. Sasha says, I live in Miami and you don't get a better deal. Online State House, not only do they have solar panels, they have everything. That's interesting. I got to go check that out. So let me come through here and I'll take a look at some of these questions real quick. And look, if you got questions about life in Costa Rica, hey, be sure to put them up there. I'll be more than glad. Yeah, Esquire's over the Antennas. So Sasha was actually saying what a 1-bedroom apartment near the beach costs these days. So I actually lived in it was actually a 2-bedroom apartment. So depending on where you're at, I was in a 2-bedroom apartment. Now, keep in mind, a 2-bedroom apartment, ain't nothing but walls there. I had to put in my own bed and furniture and stuff, but a 2-bedroom apartment, and that was on Hermosa Drive. So I was like maybe 2 miles from the beach. I could actually, maybe a mile from, I could actually walk right to the Playa Hermosa. That apartment cost me $600 a month. Okay, now, I want to say that apartment did include the electricity, I think. Okay, but anyway, $600 a month. That wasn't too bad, but when you compare that to what I could get in San Isidro or, in some of the remote areas, you really can easily get a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, even a 3-bedroom for $600 a month. But it was easy to get a 2-bedroom. A typical house in Costa Rica would be a 2-bedroom, and you could easily get that for $300 And a lot of places a lot cheaper, just depending on the condition of the house. So I've always said that, hey, if you live in a tourist area, you live near the beach, you're going to pay double, maybe triple. But I was living in a 2-bedroom house right there in Playa Hermosa for $600. So I hope that answers your question, gives you a little bit of an idea. So, and it wasn't an old place or anything like that. It was kind of fairly new. It wasn't bad at all. So that may give you an idea. All right. Okay, so we were buffering, but it looks like we're back. All right, so Eduardo says, hey, can I get an eco on my ice chest? Keep his beer code. I bet you can. I bet Eco will sell you whatever you want. So, hey, you just never know. Let me take a quick look here and see what's going on over here. And yeah, hang on a second. I got to improve my internet real quick. So hang on a second. All right. So our internet should get better here in a moment or two. All right. So real quick. And look, Esquire says the guy was reasonably priced as well. So, hey, Esquire, I'd be kind of curious to know, how much did your system cost? You said your system there added 16 panels and a 6-battery system. Tell me, do you have a 24-volt system? Do you have a 36-volt system? Give me a little bit more information. And, hey, if you don't mind sharing how much you actually paid, and kind of give me an idea in comparison to what I paid and what some of the other people I know have paid, you know, whether it does sound like he was reasonable or not, if you're comfortable sharing, okay? You may not be comfortable sharing, and that's understandable. All right. So anyway, in Costa Rica. So since I'm waiting on questions right here, let me share. I'm going to share, since I'm waiting on questions, I'm going to share a little bit of the ugly. Okay. So, you know, I had a couple of guys. Well, I had this family, super nice family from Canada. They came to one of my retreats. Super good family. Okay. And, you know, even though I tell everybody, hey, wait, don't get in a hurry to buy. We don't know the other side of the story and the reason, but they ended up hurrying up and buying a place. And, hey, wished them well. Hope everything would turn out well. Bought this nice B&B. And they had to do a lot of remodeling and stuff. And it turns out that when they did buy it, the actual owner hid all kind of stuff and all kind of bad things. And so they end up getting a bad end of the stick on this deal. Okay. Well, they had reached out to me and asked me my advice and input and stuff. And I talked to them. And anyway, I know that they were going to go through a lawsuit and stuff. And so let me tell you something right now. If you ever get into a lawsuit or a battle with a local, you will not win. Okay. You're not going to win. Costa Rica only cares about you being here and spending your money here. They want you to come. They want you to spend your money. You will not win. Costa Rica does not care about you. They care about the locals. That is a good thing, okay? But justice is not on your side, okay? Write that down. If you're thinking about coming to Costa Rica, it's an absolutely beautiful place. I love it. I would never leave, okay? However, I love a country that will take care of their people, and they do. You can't work. They don't want you taking a job from their people. But if you get into a lawsuit with one of them, justice is not on your side. Part of me says that's good, but it's really not good. Justice should be justice, okay? And, hey, I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw that couple had to say goodbye to their dream, and they had spent no telling how much money on their place, and they lost it. Okay, they lost it, from my understanding, and I'm not going to say names or anything because I could be completely wrong, and I actually want to contact this family and see if they'd like to share their story. Okay, because I know it would help a lot of people. And you know, this is the only channel on YouTube that talks about living in Costa Rica that will tell you this kind of stuff, okay? And that's the reason I'm still here. It's important. I love Costa Rica. I do. I've been here almost 12 years. I absolutely love living in Costa Rica, but you have got to learn how to adjust. You have got to learn how to adapt. Costa Rica is not on your side, but Costa Rica can be an awesome, awesome place to live. But it only happens after you are able to CYE. That's when you can control your environment. You know, after I moved out here to the off-grid homestead, I was able to control my environment. You know, I got a place right here. I'm on 1,000 acres. I'm away from everybody. It's peaceful. It's quiet. The only thing I got to put up with is the monkeys. And I love the monkeys that come down here, right here at the front door. And, you know, I got wildlife. I don't have crazy motorbikes. I don't have Ticos playing music so loud and they're right next door to me. You know, I can enjoy life. So for you to enjoy Costa Rica, you really need to take your time when you buy something on a large piece of property, you know, at least a hectare. Put your house dab smack in the middle of it so you don't have a neighbor next door to you, so that whenever he coughs or turns on his radio, you can hear him. You know, it's very different. You got to be able to control your environment. When you can control your environment, Costa Rica is just absolutely amazing. You know, I don't have to go into town. And if I don't have to go into town, I don't have to put up with the craziness that goes on in town. I absolutely love Costa Rica. I have some amazing Costa Rican friends. I do. I've got some great Costa Rican friends, okay? My best friend is a Costa Rican, owns a couple of restaurants, and we help each other out a lot, okay? So with that said, the majority of the Ticos, you hear that they're friendly, and that's not the truth, okay? Most of them are not friendly, but there are some really wonderful Ticos. Ticos are the kind of people that they're friendly after they get to know you. Well, that's not the term. That's not the definition of friendly. Okay. Friendly is, you know, Louisiana, Texas, you're driving down the street and you wave at somebody and they wave back at you. Everybody's friendly and everybody's smiling and having a great time. That's friendly. Okay. So that's my perspective. I'm used to seeing friendly people. I go to New York and I'm driving down the road and people are blowing their horn. They're not waving at you. That's not friendly. Okay. So if you got to define someone as friendly after they get to know you, that's not friendly. Okay. So anyway, just kind of giving you an idea. So anyway, this story on this couple, I wished I could share more of it. I'm not going to, but what I do know is that it was sad because I watched him take a couple of pictures and he's like, hey, this is the last picture we're taking in Costa Rica. I'm saying goodbye to my dream. And it was their dream. And I really hate it for them. And that's why when you come to Costa Rica, you really have got to be extremely, extremely, extremely careful when it comes to buying property. When it comes to buying property, you need to make sure that you have the right attorney. Because look, even the attorney will con you. It's happened to many times where, you know, you don't know, you're 77 years old, you buy a piece of property, and the attorney's like, he's going to die soon. He puts it in his name. It's all in Spanish. You trust the guy. So if you want to make sure you have a trusted attorney, check the link in the description below. I'll have to update this link. And you want to talk to my trusted attorney. Her team is amazing. Most honest people in the world. They helped me out a whole lot. Matter of fact, I got an appointment with them this week, and I'm going up there to see my attorney. They're taking care of my residency. That's right. Getting my residency started on August the 7th. Okay. And so this is like the third time I'm working on my residency. Woo-hoo! I'll tell you that story another time. But anyway, I can't wait to anyway, check out the link after this video. I'm going to update the description so that her link is in there and you can be sure to contact her. You know, the Happy Brothers, the Happy Bagleys said that he uses them too. And he saw some of my earlier videos and got the link to my most and look, not every attorney is bad. Okay. Matter of fact, I know of 2 attorneys that I've used that I felt like they did me fair and right, but I've used a lot of attorneys. Matter of fact, I saw one just this past week while I was in Walmart. A guy that pretends to be a pastor, even has a church, but he's a crook. Okay. And he's in San Isidro. Jorge is his name. Jorge Calderon. He's a crook. So, hey, stay away from him. Okay. So this fella here, I can't pronounce that. But anyway, 100 says, good New Yorkers are very friendly. Not like the South, amazingly friendly people. And hey, you're right. You know, not every New Yorker is mean. There's some New Yorkers that are nice. But you're right. Boy, down in the South, most of the people are extremely, extremely friendly. Now, Esquire, you know, and Esquire. So let's have a conversation about this. So Esquire, he's disagreeing with me, and that's okay. See, that's your perspective. So, and I never like to argue that because I'm sharing my perspective. Esquire says his perspective, he has the exact opposite. He says, I can't walk through the park without 10 people that I've never seen before say, Buenos dias, okay? And that is true. So let me ask you a couple of questions. So Esquire, was that park in a touristy area? Or have you been in that park and you lived at that same park for many years and these people recognize you and know you? So a lot of that does make a difference. But I'm glad that Esquire is putting his experience in there. That's what I want you to know. I do a lot of business dealings with a lot of Ticos. And so I get a lot of bad experiences, okay? But, you know, if you're just going through the park, if you say Buenos dias, they might say Buenos dias, but it's not what I'm used to in South Louisiana. Okay, now here's what I have noticed. There's been places where I used to live right next to the park in not San Vito, but it was a little bitty town right next to San Vito in Sabalito. So I was living right next to the park in Sabalito, and I was walking by the park all the time, and the locals got to know who I was, okay? And so anytime that Rebecca and I would walk right all right. So as I was saying, we were buffering there anyway for a moment. But I was saying that whenever we first moved there, then when we first moved to Sabalito, we would get the gringo price. Now, about 4 months in, they got to know that we were regulars, that we were living there, and then we wouldn't get the gringo price. And as people got to know us or recognize us, then more people would see us and would wave and would smile. But that's not my definition of friendly. My definition of friendly, you're in Louisiana, Texas, people wave at you, smile at you, just have a conversation, be friendly. Ticos, they will be sociable. If you're standing next to someone in line, you can have a conversation with them. They're sociable. So to me, there's a huge difference in being sociable and friendly. Okay. Esquire says that he lives in a village of about 20,000. Okay. It's not really tourists, but a lot of expats. So here's going to be my hunch here, Esquire. That community has a lot of tourists, a lot of expats. They've gotten used to doing something that's not normal for Costa Ricans. Most Americans and most expats are friendly no matter where they come from, okay? And so, in other words, what's the word I'm looking for? That has changed who they are. If you like the apartment I was talking about in Playa Hermosa. Playa Hermosa is an area that's got so many expats that has actually changed the Ticos that live in that area. I drive down through that area and every Tico's waving. And why is it they're waving? They're all friendly. Well, there's so many Americans down there, so many expats, they're all waving. And they're all waving because they know that expats will hire maids and lawn care people and workers. And so the people have changed over there and they've gotten to where they wave a whole lot. So I'm glad that you share that, Esquire. So, what's the word I'm looking for, people? It's not familiarity. It's the word people just hate all the time where, if a lot of gringos go in and it changes an area, then I can't think of the word. Somebody will have it here. But and so the people actually change. And that's really not good for a culture. Now, if you go out in the remote areas where there's not a lot of expats and stuff, then you're going to find that they're not friendly like you hear all over most of the YouTube channels and all over Google and stuff. Because hey, got to hand it to Costa Rica. They do a great job of marketing Costa Rica on how amazing it is. Esquire says that a lot of English is spoken there as well. Familiarity is not the word. I'm trying to think. There you go. I knew somebody. Gentrification. Michael. Ding, 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 ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, Michael. That's the word, gentrification. So when you get a lot of expats move into an area, gentrification will slowly begin to happen. People hate that word and hate it when that happens because it changes people, okay? And it can actually change people for the better, but gentrification can also bring the cost of living up higher to where the locals can't afford to live in that area. And that's one of the very negative effects of gentrification. Thank you so much, Michael, for giving that word. So, exactly. So many expats have moved into the area where Esquire lives at. Gentrification is happening. More and more people are speaking English. Why? A lot of expats, okay? The prices will rise up. And in that area where he's at, the housing prices, everything is a lot more expensive in that area. Anywhere there's touristy areas, there's gentrification begins to happen. Things change. You go to the tourist area, all ticos are friendly. Well, they better be. They're wanting a tip. And Costa Rica is not a tipping country. So if you understand, and you got to listen to me. You can't just say, oh, Alan's wrong. He just hates ticos. No. Listen to me and learn. And you're going to find out that, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. See? So, hey, things do change. And Esquire agrees and says, yeah, Antennas is getting there as well. Gentrification happens, and that happens slowly. It doesn't happen like that. It can be a good thing and a bad thing. When I lived over at Playa Hermosa, that area on Hermosa Calle, there's been so many expats that lived on that place. Gentrification is set in big time. And it's more of an American vibe there than it is a Tico vibe, okay? So, it definitely is very, very different. So, hey, I'm glad this guy here, 100, says, outside the town, you meet the good old boys. Like a step back in time. They don't like a license plate they've never seen before. And, I'm glad you said that because there's a lot of truth in that. So you get, and I've lived in a lot of these small places. You go to some of these small places where there's hardly any expats. They're not friendly. They don't like someone they don't recognize because you're a threat. You might be a thief. They don't know who you are. Now, after they get to know you, they might warm up to you. That kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Ticos aren't friendly, but after you get to know them, they're like, okay, maybe we could trust this expat, And look, the truth is a lot of ticos just don't like expats, okay? And some do. I'm not saying all of them, but they simply just don't like it. I don't know why they wouldn't. Well, I know why. You have some expats that come to Costa Rica and they think they're all that. I'm all that and some, man. I got so much money, I buy what I want to. Here. You got some expats that just like to show off and they snobby. And, Costa Rica's real laid back. Man, how come you ain't brought me some more water? Hey, give me some more water. Ain't got no service down here. That's exactly why some ticos don't like expats. Is expats come down here thinking they're going to change things. Well, you come to Costa Rica, you are a guest. I've been here for almost 12 years. Hey, I'm a guest. I don't care if I get residency. I don't care if I get citizenship in Costa Rica. And eventually I will get citizenship. But you know what? I will always be a guest citizen of Costa Rica, okay? I will never be a Costa Rican, and I don't want to be a Costa Rican. I know who I am. I love being an American. I'll get a citizenship here for the benefits, okay? But I will always be a guest. So when you go into a country, the most important thing you can do is to learn the culture, respect the culture. Even if you don't like the people, respect the people. Show respect whether you like them or not, okay? You got to respect the people. It's their country, and you are a guest. Don't respect the people. Hey, go home, gringo. You ought to get thrown out. That's all it is to it. You ought to get thrown out. So what I'm saying is, when you come to Costa Rica, take your time. Costa Rica is not for everyone. It's not. You got to take your time, okay? Take your time. Go to a place. Live in a place for a couple of months. 3 months, see if you like it. Matter of fact, I made arrangements today for a member that's in the members only area, and she's 77 years old. She's going to come down to San Isidro. She's going to rent this little apartment, that I suggested, and she's going to check it out. She's going to see if she can adapt to Costa Rica, and I really hope she can, because you can really enjoy Costa Rica if you get the right place. So I really, really, really hope that it works great for her. Okay. But anyway, my point is, don't get in a hurry when you come to Costa Rica. You get in a hurry, buy the wrong place, lose a lot of money, spend a lot of money, get into a battle with the original owner who takes you to court and then takes it back. Oh, that's scary. Be careful. So, So Eduardo shared this story with me some time back. Okay, Eduardo was just like a super friendly. And so before you read his comment, I'm going to take it off the screen so I don't distract you. So Eduardo's a super good guy. He had a place in Costa Rica, and he is so super friendly. He's always helping people left and right. So he's actually. I think it was his neighbor. His neighbor was going to pay his neighbor a few bucks to just, hey, keep my car running once a week, crank it up so the battery don't die, because Eduardo will go for 6 months, come back for 6 months. And and you know what? And all of a sudden they're like, hey, you need to send me $50,000 colones to fill the gas tank up for. And he's like, why? He comes back, finds out the guy's been using his car as a taxi. Okay. Look, good old boy. They just like, hey, gringo ain't going to know no better. He's stupid. We just use his car for a taxi. And then, he shares another story, which was where, he's so friendly. Okay. He goes into he knows everybody, talks to everybody. Anyway, the people from the city hall, the government calls him up and says, Eduardo, there's a couple of people over here and they trying to put your house in their name, blah, blah, blah. And so, if he wouldn't be so friendly, I don't think they would have ever contacted him. Okay. And so he contacts the city bank and he tells him, he says, stop everything. He told him, don't do nothing. Stop it. Hold it. And they said, yes, Mr. Diaz, we'll stop everything. If Eduardo wouldn't be so friendly, so stinking friendly to everybody, I don't believe they would have contacted him. But there was some people he knows, some of the locals were trying to steal his house. And it happens, okay? So you got to be extremely, extremely careful. And he shared that story. Eduardo was just a super good guy. And, unfortunately, Eduardo at one point in time did not like me very well because I was given the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he hadn't experienced the ugly very much. But, I guess I grew on him. And he started listening to the channel, started learning. And he started learning. And then he started seeing some telltale signs of where he was getting taken advantage of. And so now Eduardo is very cautious. He's very careful. And he's like, hey, listen up. This guy tells the truth. Yeah, now see, Esquire is, he kind of shares that sentiment about some of the bad foreigners that come over. He says the VP and the HOA, the VP of the HOA where he's at, is a former D.C. U.S. government attorney, and he does that thing. He's all that. He says they've locked horns from day one. So it's important. You definitely, we live in a world where there's many different types of people, and no matter whether you're in Costa Rica or in the United States, you got people think they're all that. You just got to be careful. So, hey, okay, so I'm looking through here, not a whole lot of questions today. And, hey, I'd love to answer your questions. So, and of course, today is really all about your questions. And, hey, I know we got on a tyrant and I'm sharing some stories, but I'd love to answer your questions about living in Costa Rica. Nothing is off topic. What questions do you have? You know, so here's a working too hot. But anyway, hey, we're back. Anyway, someone asked, what about the public transportation? Do they have to have a vehicle? And you know, one of the greatest things about Costa Rica is that, look, in Costa Rica, especially with Uber being in effect, you don't have to have a vehicle. Man, you can really, if you got time, you can go anywhere you want in Costa Rica practically with a bus, a taxi, or an Uber. Now, oh, darn it. I don't know what's going on here, but man, we are buffering a lot today. Not sure what's going on, but anyway, hey, so anyway, my point is here, in Costa Rica, you can really go all over the place using public transportation. You'll have to learn the schedule of the buses, and the buses are not normally, you might have to actually walk to a bus stop. Buses will go just about all over the place, but there are some remote areas where the bus may not be right in front of your place. You might have to walk a kilometer or two to get to the closest bus stop. But anyhow, with Uber, you can pretty much go anywhere you want to because an Uber will come right out to your house if you're not too far away. You know, San Isidro, lots of Ubers, okay? But you go down to San Vito, Sabalito, I'm sure they might have some Ubers, but you probably won't get them late. I know whenever I was living down close to the coast around Estorrillos, I couldn't get an Uber down late. You know, it's too far away. But as long as I was close to Jaco, Playa Hermosa, I could. So it just all depends on where you're at. You just got to use the Uber app and find out. Okay. Now, stay away from the taxis. Rebecca shared a story with me just a few weeks ago, and I think I shared just a tad bit where she was actually going into the United States. And so she was going over there, I think, for the 4th of July. And so she actually took the bus from San Isidro all the way to the to where her B&B was going to be at. Okay, well, she took the bus from the bus terminal in San Isidro to the bus terminal in San Jose. And then she was going to take an Uber from the bus terminal to her B&B. Well, it was getting kind of late, so she decided to just take a taxi since he was right there. I'll help you. You know, typical. They're going to help you with your bags. Puts the bags in the suitcase. She gets into the taxi and gets to the B&B, which wasn't that far away. And the meter actually said 13,000 colones. And the guy assumed that Rebecca wasn't from here, it's just a tourist, and says that'll be $50. She's like, ain't no $50. It says 13,000. Nope, I'm taking $50. And she's like, I don't have any cash. No, I'm taking only United States dollars, $50. And the guy wouldn't release her suitcases. She did manage to get him down to $40, but he ripped her off. Okay. And that's what the taxis do. Now, Rebecca's not an aggressive person. And, you know, she could have done a lot of things. Like if I'd have been in that scenario, I'd have immediately got out my camera, started videoing him. I'd have taken a picture of his meter. And I said, no problem. Call your boss. We're going to talk to your boss right now. Guarantee I'd have got that dude fired. Okay. Okay. And I guarantee he would have said, okay, I'll just take that 13,000. Okay. So you just stay away from the red taxis. You know, yes, legally, technically, they're the only legal taxis. Ubers are technically not legal, but guess what? You can get on an Uber. Tons of people use them. You can get on the DDs. That's the Chinese version, I think, of Uber. Okay. So anyway, be very, very careful. Okay. And you know, you get a good Uber guy, and you know what? I use them, you know, I use them a lot whenever I go to town. You know, I get my vehicle fixed. It's in the shop. I'll just get on the app. Man, I get an Uber. I go where I got to go. So you got to be careful. Okay. Hey, here's a good question. 100 says, what's going on with the property taxes along with the visa situation? It seems like they're making even more difficult for foreigners to actually live there unless you got mucho dinero. You know, I need to check in more into that. I've heard a little bit about it, but I haven't heard a lot about it. But I need to talk. I'm going to talk with my attorney. Matter of fact, I know I need to do a few more videos with her and find out more about that. Now, property taxes, I haven't heard anything is changing. I do know that some lady in government is trying to cause some issues with residency and cuckoo stuff, but I don't think anything is going to change. In my opinion, I don't think anything's going to change. Residence has always been difficult to get in Costa Rica. I'm actually going to be trying to get my residency because on August 7th, I'm going to be filing my residency. But before, I was trying to file as a rentista, which means, you're still working. Well, I'm actually now a pensionada. So now that I get a check from the government and it's at least $1,000 a month, I can file as a pensionada, which is a lot easier. A pensionada is just a retired person. So on August 7th, I will go actually file my residency to be a pensionado. And so, hey, I'll give you updates as that comes along, okay? And that's going to be a whole lot easier. Hey, it does take a long time to get your residency. And Esquire shares, hey, we filed for residency a year and a half ago and still waiting. Esquire, are you using Glenn Teller and his wife Joanna to get your residency? If so, I know that's who I first tried with, and I waited over 7 years, never got my residency. Gave him the benefit of the doubt because he shows up at my relocation retreat wanting to speak, okay? And he's like, oh, man, I don't know what happened. We'll make it right. We'll make it right. We'll make it right. Well, if you did it right, you don't have to make it right. Well, gave him the benefit of the doubt, and guess what? Gave him a second chance. He blew it. He blew it. Now he's a crook. So if you're using Glenn Teller and his wife, Joanna, well, you're using the wrong people. So anyway, let me know if you've ever used him, okay? He says he's using Andres Gomez. Have you met him? You've met him, he says. Andres Gomez. Andres. Now, I know Andres. I don't know his last name. I don't know if I know who you're talking about. Is this guy, tell me where that guy's from. Gomez. So I'm not sure. So anyway, if I know that guy, Gomez. Anyway. So, but, that's why you should use my recommended attorney. Okay, it's the only honest attorney that I know that's doing residency and who's going to do it right. When you find the right attorney, it's going to cost you a little more. Okay, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So anyway, it does. It does take time. All right, I was afraid you was going to tell me that Esquire says the attorney that deals with Sarah. I was afraid of that. Okay. So, everybody knows, me and Michael Allen, me and Sarah, Elena, we don't get along. And that's because they proved that they're dishonest. They actually admitted it on video that, hey, what we did to Allen, we threw him under the bus. He's going to be pissed. Okay. And that's the reason that I don't do relocation retreats with Sarah anymore. Poor Michael has passed away. Okay. But, hey, that happens. You deal with the wrong people. Yeah, good things just don't happen. So unfortunately, William says, hey, he's talking about my attorney, Cristina. Thanks, man. Best person I have met. So shout out to my attorney. Make sure that you hit the link in the description below because you'll get a PDF. And you'll be able to get all of her contact information that way. And you want to be sure to tell her, hey, look, I heard about you, Cristina, from Alan at Unbridled Living in Costa Rica. And she will always make sure you are well taken care of. She always does a great job. Always does a great job. She has an amazing team of people. And that's, of course, exactly what, and hey, the Happy Bagleys says the exact same thing. Cristina is amazing. Okay. She actually helped them to buy some land near La Fortuna. So, hey, lots of great kudos to Cristina and her team. An amazing team. Her business has just really grown and grown and grown and grown. Why has it grown? Well, I would like to say it was because I've promoted her a lot, and that's partially true, but it's grown because she just knows how to treat people right. She knows how to take care of a business. She knows how to represent you. So, hey, while I would like to take all the credit, it ain't all because of me, but I like to promote good people. Okay, so absolutely. Now, Esquire says, I can't say anything bad about Andres. They've done several things for me, but I know I'm, and he says, but they know I'm a U.S. attorney as well. So Esquire was an attorney as well. But hey, but the point is, it can take a while to get a residency. Hey, Esquire, if you can share with me, what kind of residency did you file for? Was it pensionata? Was it an investment? Was it rentista? Tell me what kind of residency you were filing for. Because your pensionata is the easiest one to file for and should be the quickest one to get approved for, okay? But rentista, and he says, I hate that you said that. Esquire filed for pensionata, you should already be done. But, sometimes things fall through the loop. So pensionata is the easiest one to get approved for. So I hate to hear that, Esquire. Esquire, you should probably just keep you should be a squeaky wheel. Be a squeaky wheel and say, hey, Andres, what's going on? Andres, help me out. What's taking so long? Okay. Peanut the squirrel. Is spiders in Costa Rica. Woohoo! Do squirrels like peanuts? Yes. Lots and lots of spiders, okay? Lots of spiders. But hey, you don't have to worry about the spiders. I got spiders in the house. I just take broom and sweep them out the house. That's what I do. And Pamela says, yeah, Andre was at the retreat also. Yeah, he was. And that was before I found out that Sarah and Michael just weren't honest people. And had I known that Michael and Sarah were not honest people, I would have not used Andre as well, because I just believe that birds of a feather flock together. So you got to be careful who you surround yourself with, and I try to surround myself with people that, hey, I've got experience with, that I do things with. So you just have to be careful, okay? Not saying that Andre is a bad guy. I've never dealt with him personally, okay? So I hope the best for you, Esquire. And Esquire says that, hey, he checks in with him at least once a month. That's not a good sign. Not a good sign. Now, Ed asked a question. It says, can you talk about why planes are coming into Costa Rica half empty, lots of empty seats coming and going back? The airport was empty. Matter of fact, that's an interesting question, Eduardo. Just a couple weeks ago, I was in Miami, and there was a lot of empty planes. Now, a lot of empty seats. I flew with Avianca. That's kind of been my go-to plane. So write this down, folks. Write this down, okay? If you're going to fly from Costa Rica right into Miami or into the United States, I found that I can book my flights really cheap. Matter of fact, I got the cheapest flight ever this last time from San Jose to Miami. Now, I got the lowest fare possible, and all I carried was a backpack. I travel light, so I didn't have a carry-on. All I had was my personal bag, and I want to say I paid $100 and something, less than $200, and then I didn't buy a round trip ticket. I bought a one-way going and a one-way coming back. And coming back, I paid about $200. So I didn't spend a whole lot of money. But on the way coming back, I did have to. I had to buy a more expensive ticket because I had a bag and I was carrying some stuff. Okay. So anyway, Avianca, I have found out, and their plane wasn't full, which surprised me. And on the way back, it wasn't full. Not sure why that is or what's happening. This is the low season, though. Okay, so it's rainy season. It's low season. You don't have nearly as many tourists going back and forth. Okay, so that could be the reason that the planes are maybe half empty, Eduardo. Okay, but anyhow, that's just my thoughts right there. And Peanut, the squirrel, says, and maybe that's what she was asking, is there spider monkeys? Yes, there are spider monkeys. Matter of fact, I got spider monkeys right here next to me. Okay, so I hike up the mountain where my well is, where my spring comes from. And man, I see these spider monkeys. They almost as big as me. I bet you some of them might be as big as me. But amazing, amazing creatures. So, and right here, I get the white-faced monkeys right here in the backyard all the time. The spider monkeys, when I go up to the well to clean out my well and check on it and all that good stuff, not every time, but I do see the spider monkeys up there. We actually have 4 types of monkeys in Costa Rica, okay? And there's only 4 types, okay? So you've got the white-faced monkey that you'll see almost everywhere. You have the howler monkeys. You see them a lot, but we don't have howler monkeys here. Thank goodness. Howler monkeys are loud. They sound like dinosaurs. Man, they loud. You got the spider monkeys. So you got the white-faced monkeys, the howler monkeys, the spider monkeys. You don't see them in a lot of places. And you have, it's the squirrel monkey. I think he's called the squirrel monkey, okay? And he's really tiny monkey. And but you don't see them in a whole lot of places. But you do commonly see the Congo or the howler monkeys and the white-faced monkeys. But they only got those 4 monkeys, okay? So Esquire says, we haven't seen any monkeys around where he's at, okay? But he's seen deer, quaddy, but no monkeys, okay? Now, hey, I'm glad you mentioned that. You know, I'm kind of wondering if there's deer in this area. I've never seen deer in this area, okay? So haven't seen any deer, but I'm hoping there's deer up in this area. I know there's quite a few deer over in the up toward Guanacaste in the northern part. A lot more flatter land up there, you know. And so Peanut the Squirrel says, what natural fruits are in the jungle? Surprisingly, of course, you're going to see bananas almost everywhere. There'll even be some bananas in the jungle, okay? And I don't think that's typical. I think people have gone and cleared out spots, maybe planted some banana trees and stuff. But you know what? There's lots of fruits that grow in the jungle, and I wished I could really answer that question better. But I don't know the answer to that question. But I know that, like, there's a place in the jungle, then it's got a lot of bananas in there, a little banana plantation that some local cleared and was going to plant bananas, and it's over in the jungle, and the monkeys, the animals tear it all up, okay? But anyway, but there are lots of different fruits because the monkeys travel all over the jungle, and they're eating all the time. But I wish I could answer the natural fruits, and I just can't tell you that, okay? So, of course, Peanut the Squirrel says, did you ever get bit by a spider? Man, I get bit by spiders all the time, okay? So, I don't know what the deal is. But, hey, if you've been watching my channel for any time, I used to live in the barn for 3 years. And when I lived in the barn while I was building this place, I had to have a place to live. There's no renting a house here. So I cleaned out a spot in the barn, and I made a makeshift house in there, and that's where I lived at while I was building this place. So spiders were all over the place. So it was not uncommon for me to get bit. And, sometimes, it could take a long time if you get a spider bite. Some get worse than others, but you just really got to know how to take care of it when you get bit. So a lot of times when you get bit, it often will look like a zit. So if you get something that looks like a zit on your arm or your leg or wherever you've been bitten, whatever you do not smash it like a zit. Because if you mash it like a zit, what you end up doing is you mash that poison, it goes everywhere, and then you really will get it infected. Whatever you do, if you get a little zit, and it's probably a spider bite, leave it alone. Don't touch it, and it will normally stay in there. And what I've learned to do is I'm really, really, really careful, and I wouldn't suggest you do it, but I will try to get a razor, and I'll lance it and try to ease it out of there without mashing it. But if you mash it, boy, that spider bite will just get nasty, okay? But so you just don't want to deal with that. So, but anyway, most of the spiders here are not going to be deadly, okay? Esquire says they've got a lot of mango, oranges, lemons, bananas, and some other things on their property. And you probably, a lot of properties have a lot of fruit on them, but that's not the wild fruit that's over in the jungle. A little bit different there, okay? And, of course, now Esquire says, hey, be careful of Costa Rican's version of the chiggers. Yes. So there's 2 things you want to be careful of when you come to Costa Rica. So in the dry season, okay, when it's dry, the chiggers, man, if you're walking in the jungle, the chiggers will eat you up. Now, as soon as it starts raining, buffering again. In Louisiana, I only had experiences with horse flies. They were pretty big. Deer, they were black, right? Deer flies were smaller and they were brown, okay? Well, in Costa Rica, I've seen the horse flies. We got lots of horse flies, but they have 2 or 3 different versions of deer flies. They got some little bitty deer flies, okay? But man, in the rainy season, if your grass is tall, like on this place, I keep my grass trimmed and beautiful. But if I let it get tall, man, I go walk in the morning, I am fighting the deer flies and the horse flies. So, hey, if you keep your grass trimmed down, you won't have to worry about those deer flies in your yard, okay? And them horse flies, okay? And, of course, you won't have to worry about the chiggers either, okay? But, if you go in the jungle, as long as you stay on the trail, you don't get up to too much brush, you don't have to worry about the chiggers that much. Peanut the squirrel. Okay, you're a nut. Peanut the squirrel is a nut, okay? He says, hey, Diaz, I want to marry a Costa Rican woman. Is there any? No, you don't. You don't want to marry Costa Rican women. Now, there are some good Costa Rican women, and Diaz has got a good Costa Rican woman. But most of them Costa Rican women, they after one thing, and that's your money. Dinero, 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 okay? And if you marry a Costa Rican woman, you are marrying her whole family. And when you marry her whole family, brother-in-law and brother, and everybody's going, hey, can you give me a little loan? I need some money for this. I need some money for that. And before you know it, you'll never see that money. You give a loan, it is never coming back. Peanut the squirrel, you are a nut if you marry a loco. You might. Anyway, that's just my take on it. My take on it. Hey, matter of fact, I think William has got a Tika. I think, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right there, William? He does go amen, but be careful. Hey, Evelyn says, gringo in Costa Rica equals ATM. That's right. If you're a gringo, you are just an ATM. Man, you spitting out cash. Now, Peanut the Squirrel says, Alan, would you move to the Amazon forest? You know what? I would move to the Amazon forest. I would love to live out there. I like living in remote areas. Now, but I love Costa Rica. I'll probably never move. And the reason I'm here is, and some of you don't know my story, okay? But the reason I'm here is because God moved me here, okay? I know that God wants me here. That's why I'm here. Now, if God changes his mind and God says, Alan, it's time for you to go to Amazon forest, I'm packing my bags and I'm going. And I'm going to build me a tiny house out there and I'll start a homestead. But you know what? I love it. I'm up for anything, man. I'm up for a challenge, okay? And that's probably why I have survived in Costa Rica, because, there's always a challenge everywhere you look. William says, no, he's not married to a Tika. He's married to a Nika. Well, you absolutely better off, I hear Nikas can make some really good brides, okay? So, hey, kudos to William. He's married to Nika. That's a Nicaraguan, in case you folks don't know, okay? And Eduardo says the best place in Costa Rica is in Guanacaste. That's where his favorite place is. I have to disagree with you. I think Guanacaste is kind of dry, kind of flat. But, hey, you know what? Anywhere in Costa Rica, in my opinion, is better than being in the United States. Now, you know what? Next week, I'm going to, I know I've been doing a series, a building series, but next week I'm going to be talking about what are some of the things you're going to miss when you move to Costa Rica. So, I love doing this when I come back from traveling into the United States, because, after you've been in Costa Rica and you get used to things, you forget what you sacrifice to live in Costa Rica. So next week, we're going to be talking about what do you sacrifice? What do you give up on in order to live in Costa Rica? Just kind of gives you a reminder. It's not going to be a complaint session. It's just going to give you a highlight of, because after you get to Costa Rica for a while, as long as I have, you kind of get used to things being difficult. You get used to everything taking longer than it should. That's pura vida, okay? But anyway, hey, I agree. It is time for an Allen's apple juice. This is what I call, well, somebody, you will find out soon, but someone says, hey, this is crystal beer. So this is my new crystal beer. It's not very potent. It is very refreshing. And I'm going to tell you the story on this crystal beer, okay? Because I shouldn't let the cat out of the bag just yet. I should not let the cat out of the bag. So why, and can anyone guess, this is actually water, but can you guess why I'm not having an Allen's apple juice today and why I will not be having an Allen's apple juice until something really, really important happens? All right, I'm teasing you right here. I'm teasing you. Can you guess? Can you guess why is it Allen's not drinking an Allen's apple juice? Why is it he's not having any alcohol until something happens? And then we're going to celebrate. So I'm calling it my crystal beer. So Elvis says, are you getting married? Well, I'm not going to say yes or no. Esquire says, until your wife gets pregnant, maybe. Eduardo says, where's your Hefe, Rebecca? She's in San Isidro. Matter of fact, I think I chatted with her just yesterday, and she's doing great. And matter of fact, you know what? Yesterday I made a mistake, and when I was getting ready for this, I accidentally scheduled it for yesterday. Rebecca was in town, and she sent me a message, and she says, hey, I saw that you were doing your live today on Saturday. Was that a mistake? Well, she knew I wasn't doing my live on Saturday. She was looking out for me. And, oh, man, I had to quickly go and change it because I had accidentally scheduled it for Saturday instead of Sunday. So, you know, I had to reply back, hey, thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate it. You knew it was supposed to be on Sunday. So, anyway, Rebecca told me she caught it. I must have been half asleep. So, anyway, and Eduardo says, give her our best. I absolutely will, Eduardo. I'll definitely tell Rebecca you said, hey. And Peanut says, oh, Peanut actually says, hey, Peanut, the squirrel says, hey, Diaz, would you swim the Amazon River? And he's like, Alan, you can record yourself swimming the Amazon River. I don't know about that. You know, from my understanding, they got some big anacondas in there. They got some piranha in there. Probably some crocodiles. I'd probably look like a good snack to one of them creatures down there. I don't think I'd be swimming the Amazon River. I would move there, but my luck, if I wasn't careful, I might end up getting eaten by one of them cannibals over there, man. Look, let's make some island soup. Yum, 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 yum. Hey, you got to be careful in the Amazon forest. Hey, all right, folks. So I got a few folks got some good guesses as to why I am drinking crystal beer. It's actually some of the finest, cleanest water in all of Costa Rica. But hey, maybe I'll let the cat out of the bag real soon. But right now, just ain't got time to let the cat out of the bag. All right, folks. Hey, next week, remember, we're going to be talking about what are you sacrificing? What will you sacrifice to live in Costa Rica? Okay, what will you give up? So anyhow, hey, we'll be talking about that next week. And, hey, we've been fortunate that we did not lose power on today's live. Remember, the best way you can support this channel is you can actually make sure that you hit that like, subscribe, share. Make sure you comment even after we shut this down in just a few minutes. Comment. Say hello. Say great. Say had fun. Say whatever you want to. The algorithm sees that you've enjoyed this live and pushes it out there so more people can enjoy it, all right? So anyway, hey, folks, we'll see you next week. I hope you had a great time. I know I enjoyed it, and I'll see you next Sunday. Same time, same station, right here at the only channel, the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica, where it's the only channel giving you the whole truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly about Costa Rica. Because we're not trying to sell you or con you into buying Costa Rica. Next week.